feel like one of your grittier games, just as a team, doing it defensively on the boards, just trying to will this one through at the end?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, after we were up, was it 10 or something like that in the fourth quarter? It was the third quarter. I don't know. That's how crazy this game, or digging it out of yourself, digging yourself out of a hole, and like whatever it takes. There's a lot of relief at the end of the game, but unbelievable performance. Will Richard coming off of an extended time not in the rotation, the way that he played, not just his scoring, but just his presence all over the floor. GP defensively, BP big rebound at the end of the game. Trace getting extended time. So, Gee, fourth quarter, just getting his number called and being ready. It's not ideal. You want to, continue to find that consistency, but the idea of, everybody being ready to play is huge because you're still, in a fight to get some momentum this year.
How would you describe the emotions, facing an early deficit and then Draymond gets tossed, knowing that you're going to have to play the rest of the game without him?
Yeah, it's tough because we were energized at the beginning of the game, knowing this is a good opportunity to bounce back. It was a weird, choppy, physical game in the first quarter, and it spilled into the second. And, I think it woke us up because we knew without him we were going to have to play even, tougher, dig deeper down the rotation. And I think everybody was kind of on alert and try to have his back.
Along those lines, Steph, what was the discussion like at halftime, just on keeping the poise and without Draymond, just everybody doing a little bit more?
Honestly, it wasn't that much talk other than normal, like X's and O's, just the idea of what we saw out there on the court in terms of adjustments on their pick and roll, which beat us a lot in the first half, and then our organization on offense. They still played a lot of pressure, on the ball defense, and we struggled at times with it. Got bailed out by a couple, Jimmy buckets and some loose ball plays. So we can be even better. We all know that. But I'd like to the point of just resiliency coming out of halftime and digging deep and giving ourselves a lead where you can withstand a small run by them and still have control of the game. That's been the difference, most nights.
How important does this just kind of stretch of games coming up feel like for you guys, especially as you try to, make a move here a little bit?
It's important because it's the now. I think we've had a couple of those little windows where you can look at either a homestand or 3 games in 12 days or something like that. However you frame it, it's between now and All-Star break is kind of like the moving window of the season where you position yourself either on a run to look ahead in the standings or be in a more or even worse situation where you're looking behind you. So I think we understand that. We don't want to look too far ahead though, and just focus on Orlando and what we need to do to beat that team. I like that idea of just taking it one game at a time because we don't have any other choice with the way that we've been playing.
Steph, you've seen these defenses or these offenses come at you in this way before, and you guys have done so many things like hedge and get away, like just things to kind of preserve you. Looks like tonight there was none of that. It was just you and Devin Booker when the switch happens. Is that you saying like just we got to be better at point of attack, so it just starts with you? And is there any kind of toll from the offensive end, which you have in the guard, like one of the best scorers in the game down the stretch?
No, I'm used to it, and you give up a little bit of size. Yeah, my goal is to not give up any blowbys, and if they want to, he's an unbelievable scorer, so but you make him work. So at 38, he feels it too, which is kind of crazy to say because it's 38, but it's if I'm in those situations, just make him take 2 or 3 dribbles, a tough 2. We'll be able to live with that. there was only, I think, one time I fouled him and gave him an and one, which slows the game down. But if he's scoring in the mid-range and you're making him work for it, that plays in our hands because we can keep the game moving. It does take a toll offensively because you're working, but I like the challenge because it kind of reminds you of like playoff type, experiences where you got to really do both for however long you're out there at a really high level, and there's no shortcuts around it. You got to take the challenge. Throughout the meat of the game, yeah, because you don't want to be scrambling around, relying on crazy rotations. So if I'm on the ball, I got to be able to, again, not give up blow-bys, not give up pull-up threes, just make them work for tough contested twos. So if they make them or not, he gets paid a lot of money to score. So you got to live with some of it.
Steph, you guys gave up 44 in the first on, they were shooting incredible, 70 and 60% from three. How do you guys settle in after that first quarter and kind of lock back in? How do you and the rest of the team do that?
The adjustment is physicality on the ball. I think to Marcus's question, we were doing the opposite of what I just said. We were giving up straight line drives, straight bullet passes to the weak side, and they were just teeing off threes, or they were just walking from the three-point line to the basket and getting layups. Any team that gets threes and layups that are open or easy and there's no resistance, that's the best type of basketball for the opponent. So we talked about that at the end of the timeout. Try to get a little bit more physical on the ball, be on the rotations earlier, and then over the course of the game, you make them take the shots that you want them to take, and you have to live with them.
Thanks, Steph.
What have you seen from Jimmy the last couple games? You had 31 the other night, 25 tonight. It seems like you guys have been a little bit more intentional about featuring him offensively. Just what have you seen from him?
It's the same Jimmy, but just a little bit more emphasis on looking for a shot. And that also goes with our spacing around him to give him the ability to attack matchups or be able to see the floor and the reads and the gaps so he can take advantage. He's unbelievable when he gets under control and he can get to where he wants to go. But if there's chaos around him and spacing's not right and there's no outlets and they're able to key in on him, it makes his job harder, and that's what we're trying to do, or trying to change in terms of making his job a lot easier. So he'll tell you he's playing the exact same way, but he is looking to score more because we're able to get organized around him.
I haven't had a chance to ask you about the rotation where you're now starting the second and fourth and you're getting the break in the middle. We know that hasn't been your traditional rotation, but you've switched back and forth. You good with this? Is there maybe some advantage in your mind for you to get these kind of minutes?
We've had this probably 6 or 7 times since Steve's been our coach, 6 or 7 different years where certain points of the season you switch it up because the numbers say you kind of need to have a different look in terms of rotation. So it's a conversation, and whatever it is, as long as I'm not surprised in game and I know where my runs are, I can get my mind ready for whatever. We've had a couple of times in the past where it kind of was a surprise, and those are the games where you get a little frustrated. But we're locked in on a communication and understanding of the why behind certain changes like that. And we had a lot of lulls end of quarter, end of second or first and third, start of second and fourth, and just trying to switch it up a little bit. Don't be surprised if it goes back at some point, just because that's how the season goes.
Steph, we know obviously everything changes defensively when Draymond's not on the floor. What changes the most for you guys offensively when he's not out there?
We run the same sets. You have to try to play a little faster because there's only one Draymond in terms of playmaking and being able to see the floor, making reads, getting us organized at the top of the key. But it's you got to do it by committee. Whoever's out there, if we get stops, you got to run. Still an emphasis on taking care of the ball, and we were 1 or 2 better than the last game. Still had 19, which is we got to get better, but it's even more of an emphasis on taking care of the ball and trying to just get good shots up every possession so that we can set up our defense because you don't have, the ultimate cheat code on that end.
2 questions. One, how would you rate the defense that you're playing at this stage in your career?
I'm trying to do my job. I don't know how to rate it, but from the time we started making these runs, you look around the court and you trying to take your pick of the matchup that you want. They're obviously coming at me, to try to get mismatches or, favorable, isolation situations and all that type of stuff. I do love that challenge because I'm able to use my brain a lot more, being in the right spot, knowing I don't have to run around crazy because I can be one step ahead in my positioning so that, you're able to, cut drives off. And, again, it's just 2 or 3 dribbles. Can you make them change direction and take a tough 2? It's the NBA. Got to score, so it's going to happen. But as long as I can do that and I can help my teammates and then they can help me, if there is, a tough drive to the lane, you got somebody pulling over. So it's all gamesmanship at the end of the day, and you got to be able to, step up to those possessions and do your job.
The second one, you had, when you were taking the last 2 free throws, you had this little smile on your face. And I don't know if it was something you were thinking or it was something that somebody said.
No, that's more mental warfare for me to just enjoy the moment. If anybody tells you at any stage of the career, I don't care how many free throws you've made, when you need 2 of them, you do get nervous. So the smile is more to kind of embrace the moment and enjoy it instead of overthinking or worrying about mechanics or anything. So I've been doing that a lot lately, like last couple years. Just playing mind games with myself and enjoying the moment.
Great. Thank you.